intense dripping down the postnasal drip down the back of my throat. All of a sudden, my back started cramping up horribly, and I couldn't get it undone. And I had the worst attack I've had here, period. I went over to the emergency room, and I found something out before I went there. Now, here's an example of what was happening in Tyler, Texas. And it's still unfolding. I haven't shed that attack of Satan yet. Since May, I could have went to an emergency room and used my insurance, whereas before I couldn't. I have Medicare, and I have Blue Cross Blue Shield federal plan. Otherwise, I would have had a copay, or could have had a copay. It doesn't always work out that way, but usually there is. And you never know what it's going to be because it's an emergency room. But when you're disabled, they try to alleviate that by giving you Medicare and Medigap if you've worked for any period of time in your life. And, of course, federal retiree, being federal retiree and all that. There's a spirit here that came in, thanking me. So, the governor did what I needed him to do. And I said, I. Okay, so when I say I, sometimes it's EYE. So God needed the governor, or the state at least, to allow emergency rooms, freestanding emergency rooms, away from hospitals, to take Medicare, or be accepted by Medicare. I should say the governor did it, the Medicare did it. But maybe that's a psychic cue. The governor was part of that. The governor is a goodwill governor, that's for sure. He may be conservative, you may not like him because he's conservative, but he's generally a goodwill governor. And that goodwill is God's will. So that's something that probably should be. I don't know why freestanding emergency rooms don't have Medicare approval. I will tell you, I've gotten better treatment at one of those than I usually do at the emergency room. One of the things you should understand is that it should be a case by case, because I can understand somebody could just call themselves, be an urgent care, open 24 hours, call themselves an emergency room, and then charge those fees. So again, there might be a standard for that, and then you would allow it in on a case-by-case basis. So I was in Tyler, and the whole time I was lamenting that I couldn't go to the emergency room, freestanding emergency room, just across the street from where I live. So that knowledge happened yesterday. And that's been since May available. Because I have an emergency room right across the street from where I live again. Same corporation. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think I'm mistaken. So she accepted my theory of what's happening because it's happening to me. Everything in my legs is revolving around the cramping in my back. Period. But I do have like hamstring issues and things like that. And I do have that thing in the nape of the neck. I've had that for a long time. And I've had a guy tell me, an allergist tell me that there's no way that's an allergy. But yet there it is. But I never really went to that allergist. I went to him once, very rude, condescending, maybe on purpose. And he didn't even test me for allergies. He said there was too much medicine in my body still. And I waited 7 days or whatever. So I think one of the issues I'm dealing with is allergies, and it inflames the body. Not every year, not all the time, not all allergens. But when I was in Tyler, I was saying, what is it in the middle of the day that's doing this? And I found that when I got here, that grass kicks up in the middle of the day. It loves the sun. So when they give you the pollen reading for a community, it's not consistent throughout the day. And the theory where it's worse at 2 in the morning isn't necessarily real. Sitting here, my left side is loose and my right side is tight, so my neurology and brain can't figure out how to adjust anything. And then, of course, it's tightening and loosening throughout the day at a higher level than your body does normally. So I can take my left arm. My left side was the first one that I released. That was tight too. So it wasn't like it's just, okay, it's just the left side or just the right side. So when you throw a punch, you can feel when you follow through, the left side of your body follows through with it. When I do my left, I can feel that. When I do my right, it's like kirk, kirk. It doesn't move. So my spine is immobile in that area. Now, it was mobilized several times in the last week or so. And the massage therapist seemed to do a great job. I don't think I'm going to make the appointment, and I think it was a poor fit anyway. The doctor for today, I called them and said I need to cancel. I think I can come in as sick as I was yesterday. I just felt like coming in as a new patient and doing all that paperwork. They told me the paperwork was on their website. It's not there, and it's a poor fit. For some reason, I think I got switched around with the other doctor I was planning to go to, because this is just a surgeon. His focus is surgery. Now, he might do trigger points or something like that also, but if they would call me back, I would go. I told them to call me back and we could figure something out. Maybe we do telemed or something. I just thought Monday I could get all my records together and get them to send me what I needed. I didn't know Monday was Labor Day. I was just that far gone. And that happens. Why do I speak about this? Because I hope somebody somewhere can think something about it and maybe help themselves instead of having to go through what I'm going through. Now, over the years, I've gotten trigger point shots, and it's the only way I've gotten out of these things each time, which in itself would be stopping the allergy reaction for a period. And then it would turn seasons or something like that, or I'd relocate. So I'm outside here, and it's a very cold and slightly windy day, and it feels great. I feel great compared to what I do. And I actually begin to unlock out here. So again, one of the keys is inflammation. But I'm thinking I'm going to require, and again, I might have to go to an allergist to get the steroid shots. I'm trying to figure out where to go. Again, the emergency room lady, doctor, should I say, I shouldn't be disrespectful, and she said she would line me up with a doctor that she knew would take my case and move forward with it. And I haven't got a call back yet. Hopefully, I called them this morning. I reminded them that they were going to give me a specific doctor that they know would take it. That was the theory. So they were trying to focus on it. And my blood pressure was up, and I'm like, and I can feel the difference now from then. I couldn't, I was in there, I'm like, is my blood pressure really up for real this time? And it might be slightly, I haven't been active, but not where it was when I went in there. I mean, I was in pain, and there's just no way to maintain, that blood pressure. So she gave me an injection, and it kind of worked. But it didn't work as good as last time, because last time I had just come off a steroid pack, and they gave me the injection. So again, I'm not receiving the level of anti-inflammatory treatment that I need to get forward of it. That's the problem. Now, I do have other things happening, like massage therapy. I've got to oil that door there. My brother keeps telling me that on the phone call. So this wouldn't work on Twitter with my Galaxy phone, so I decided, hey, I'll just broadcast to Facebook and then farm that out to YouTube or wherever later. Because I'm not feeling like, walking around with my iPad for now. I have a whole rig for my iPad, but I'm just not into it right now. And this phone, the phone and the mic sound good now. Yeah, going to North Dakota was probably a good idea. I just couldn't get there. Again, I'm being blocked. So when they have you in the kill zone, like in Tyler, Texas, last thing they wanted me doing was going to North Dakota or some other place where they'd have to set up again. Oh, I have to write to Amarillo PD. You need to look into mental health programs, but not stigmatized type of thing. Everybody needs to receive counseling. Yesterday I came out of the ER and something said, I was feeling in myself, I want to thank them for their service and all that. And there's 2 police officers. There actually was one, and then the second one came over. And it was like, they're taking their dinner break or whatever. And I walked over, and the first officer was easy going about it. The other officer was facing the other way, and I didn't see him completely, but I could see in his eyes that he was freaked out. Okay, the feds may have done something to him, or maybe a private sector entity. Remember, I've always told you that sometimes it's the federal agents, but then there's also the cartels that are trying to assassinate officers or get them to work for them. So they'll stress them out for a period of time, maybe take their life down a bit, and then come in with an offer. Or maybe just take them out because the officer's not corrupt. So the corrupt, let me get them out of here. Healed. In Jesus' name we pray. So the officer looked freaked out a little bit. I went over and introduced myself. I said, thank you for your service. I said, look, I'm a retired on disability deputy U.S. Marshal. I live right over there. If you ever need anything, let me know. And I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you. That kind of thing. I can't miss my van, of course. I've got a blue mast on it with a Flynn Blue Line flag. So again, when I get my back to completely undo and relax, both legs are very similar. Not exact, but very similar. So that in itself could cause this. But let me go back to what I was saying. He doesn't want me to be on that subject because they want to take advantage of your officers and freak them out. There are programs like Badge of Life where Amarillo PD could remind their officers of things. There's also another step, and that's never been taken. How to handle an investigation when you're an officer. How to handle maybe harassment by a drug gang while you're an officer, not thinking that it's real, or thinking that it's real, or thinking it's somebody else. Because a drug gang will make you think that it's the FBI, and the FBI will try to make you think it's a drug gang so you don't think of them. Or maybe they're both in cahoots. So again, the officers don't know. It took me a long time to figure out how to deal with this. But again, as you saw under COVID-19, something was going on to destroy it. I may have been drugged, may have just been allergens, could have been anything. But then again, I'm on disability. I'm not supposed to be harassed. That's harassment. I mean, that's what we used to call it, but it's a science of CIA now. The technology of CIA, that's assassination. Again, I could call it police harassment. And they go, oh, he's a liberal. See, that's when you say it. I guess you're a Nazi or something. So it's pretty funny. I have this cross I'm holding in front of me. I have a stick that I put Velcro on. I got Velcro on the back of my phone. And I slapped it on landscape. instead of portrait, and so it's like makes a cross. I walk around holding this cross. So again, I think Amarillo PD needs to look into de-stress their officers. So technology of de-stressing, of handling things. Well, there's a big problem when extortion enterprise moves forward, and it could be any organization in the world that they work through. Again, I told you it could be missing and exploited children. It could be anybody. The FBI could come in and extort you for somebody, thinking they're doing it for one reason, but yet being done for another. So when I woke up this morning, I was still pretty sick. But as soon as I walked out into the air, allergen in the outside air at this point, and then of course the cooler air fights the inflammation. So I decided last weekend that enough was enough. I would see doctors before I saw my massage therapist again. I just couldn't sit around waiting for the massage therapist appointment. And I don't think my legs will heal until my back stops cramping and uncramping and cramping and uncramping. So I had an opportunity to buy a TENS unit for me and another person. I just felt weird. I was like, when I tried to give my TENS unit to him, I was like, I'm going to give my old TENS unit to him and I'll just get this new one because I wanted a touch screen. It's just easier. It's not more money than mine. But everything I tried to do was cheaper than the one I have, and I don't understand it because it's probably just as good or better because it's touch screen. And I guess on Amazon, that's the kind of thing you end up going through. You find one company charges more for a lesser item than another. Coming in, God kind of signaled that it would be a healing rain. We shall see. So my whole right side, I mean, you're supposed to be able to follow through with a punch. It's not supposed to be limited by your, I guess, your intraspinous muscles or something. So again, massage might do it by itself, but I don't know. I think, based upon they need to heal as quickly as possible through these things, especially at my age. Trigger point would have been nice. I just couldn't get anywhere, and I really still can't get anywhere, I don't think. I thought I was making an appointment for a sports medicine rehab place, and I wasn't. And again, this doctor says, hey, they got these TENS units, electrical stimulation things at the physical therapy. My doctor never said that. My doctor was like, you got to get moving. I'm going to make you an appointment for physical therapy. And I'm thinking, what? I can't move yet. I need something to actually uncramp my back. And then we'll get there. And I had appointments for massage therapists that I never got to. And it's just, when you're being eyed and cursed. And that's not what government's for. Private sector shouldn't be allowed to do it either. That's why we have stalking laws. That's why I love to call me a stalker, because I called them a stalker way before them calling or trying to call me a stalker. And of course, it's never stuck because I'm not. So, many decades ago, or at least a couple of decades ago, I called them a stalker. And it really angered them, I think. because that's what they were doing, stalking people under the color of law. I love this weather. I just freaking love it. It's going to heat up again a little bit, but I love this weather. I'm so ready for it. Bring on Mr. Freezemeister. I love Amarillo, I really do. The birds are with God here. They communicate well. Although they were starting to pick up in Tyler. Oh look, now the birds are everywhere that I said that. See, God will do that. If God will move birds, you can read the birds. They're not the birds where the bodies are, one. There's like something in the Bible that says that. So there's a really nice Indian man here. And he lives here. I thought maybe he was the owner. I don't think he's the owner. Or the owner's father. I'm trying to figure out. He's very quiet. And I think he's a shy man. It's with Americans especially. And God had me move some of my religious paraphernalia into my window. It's like a display. And some of it was some of the Hindu information that I've had. And some of the personalities there. And the reason that God does that is because we become all things to all people. But there's also Christ-centered things around it. So, it was a blessing in life for God to have instructed me in the way that he did and take me around to these places. God's hope was that one of them would be real for me. And I would be able to settle down and have a wife and a family, a real family, instead of what I had going on while I was asleep to reality. And there is a woke. There is. So, again, there is a group of people that does not want, or they do not want, the awakening to happen or to be known. So they'll just make fun of woke all day and not try to clarify that there is an awakening, that the Christian awakening is known. What is that? How does that work? So there's this Indian man here, and I don't know yesterday what happened, but I showed him some incense that I had. When he comes by, I try to talk to him. I gave him this soap that I had from India that I was using, and I showed him the incense, and then he smelled it, and he said, "Yeah." And then I saw him out front, and he had incense in his hand, a different, his. And I said, "Oh, what's this?" And I smelled it, and it's fine. I think he may have wanted to give it to me, but he couldn't get there, But I just can't grab it from him. I didn't think of it when I was out there. I just really, because I was still in pain and all that. I don't think I had actually got to the emergency room yet. I was just trying to walk it off. So I'm thinking when my back finally uncramps, I should be much better, but that might take steroid treatment. Again, there's things that were being blocked, something that probably I should have stumbled upon when I was in Tyler. Now, is Tyler worse than Naples? Because in Naples, I finally got to it. No. It's just we're in COVID-19 demon land. Remember, I told you COVID-19 is demon. It's legions of demons. So it's really empowering certain communities. Very strange. My appetite just all of a sudden decreased. Like in the last 2 days. Oh no, I got COVID. But it's not like weird. It's just got it in check, I think. I'm eating a little different. So I think the food I'm eating is probably satiating me better. Again, these things that we do are spiritual in nature, or moved by spiritual things. I got my door not wide open, but open. I feel great. Like the air conditioning doesn't feel well, but I'll tell you, the open door feels great. I just wish I was someplace where this weather was 24/7 right now. Because when the sun goes up in the sky, I start getting sick. So it has to be some sort of allergen that's causing this. And see, in COVID-19, you walk into a doctor's office and you have a mask on, they have a mask on. You're not like a real person. Unless the doctor can get that into their mind, if they're actually working themselves up for that, which I think I found yesterday. She's from Lubbock. Very, very conscious doctor. Felt responsibility. I'm going to have to make some oatmeal here in a little bit. It's just the doctor's appointment was blocked. I don't know why. It's blocked. I knew it was blocked for the last few days, and I was trying to get to it. Like, I can get to my massage therapist now, but I can't get to that doctor. Maybe that's my answer for now. Maybe the world will change enough in the next few days that I won't need the other thing, or maybe I'll make the appointment with someone else, like a family doctor who will get me somewhere. But you know how many doctors said that my back cramping can't be allergies? But obviously it can be. It can be related. And there's a lot of people that know that. So here's another one, and God wanted to remind me, so that I can remind you, that once before this happened, I was in Walmart Market grocery store in Tyler, before I had the Change of Life event here. And I purchased a filter for my sink to purify water. And a couple filters. I didn't use it till I got here. That's exactly what that is. But the question is, did God know how this was all going to work out? And did God have me buy that to say, hey, I knew you were going to be here. I knew this was going to happen. Couldn't stop it. Now, I received what they want to put in your head is, oh, you're being judged by God. Well, this is the problem with the church, is it's always putting that out there. And we all say that, but the reality is, I received a message from Jesus direct and very to the point and very TMI. And Jesus said, I don't judge you. Not one bit. Along the lines of the adulteress in the Bible, in the scriptures. Of course, I'm not an adulteress, I guess, or maybe I am. I don't know. But the point is this, that God knows who's responsible for what in everybody's life and how it all works. Again, God's thoughts are higher than ours. And again, God has given me information. Oh, that feels so good, this weather. God has given me information to help explain how that works. Not that I know the ins and outs of each specific case, but I could sit there and say, it could be this. But of course, that doesn't mean that it is definitely it. And I always, every so often, always remind you that no matter what we believe, it could be something different. Still back release, but not completely. Still got a muscle that needs to relax. And I don't think it's that. There's something where your spine gets, the ligaments get tight and that's it. But pressure point or trigger point wouldn't release connective tissue like that. The thing is, when this happens to me, I don't feel all the pain because it compresses slowly and then cuts off the messaging. And then tragedy strikes. I mean, it'd been nice to get to this point in Tyler and not to have, it was nice to get to my physical therapy before COVID hit. I stopped my physical therapy. I went actually myself. I wasn't feeling 100%. I went to get physical therapy in March, something like that, and then decided against it because they were shutting down the country, I guess. So I guess I am a kind of a COVID-19 victim. Got to release a little bit back against the corner of my doorway and rub it next to the spine, and then it relaxes. So again, it's not this intense process, it's just how do you get that to stay? And sometimes that's trigger point steroid shots. But again, I think that would have been the better process, only because I have knowledge of my life and how it works. And, I don't know if I had, again, the whole COVID-19 doctor's appointments aren't the same quality. It's just by nature of this weirdness. It's just not. So, I don't think there was much conversation. I think patient history is probably what was lacking. Like, in your life, has this ever happened to get anything like this? What were, the outcomes? That type of thing. So again, quite possibly one of the questions is, is this, when you see somebody come in the springtime or early summer, or even later where it was triggered in the springtime or, allergy season. Well, the thing with Tyler, Texas is that when it comes to seasonal allergies, they're not always high, but it has a high level of mold. And they don't count that in the allergy thing. So you'll see low allergies, but then when you look at the mold's real high. So again, this morning, I'm feeling way better than I did yesterday. But I still have like an inconsistency between my left and right side, which could be a concern, but when I go to punch, I can't punch like I can on my left. So I could think, well, my left is too loose, which is what I was thinking a couple times. But when I think about how your body's supposed to operate, the right has got something stopping me from throwing a punch, which means I'm bound up in the back there, which is why my right side is still. So I'm like inches away from releasing this thing. And then I have to rebuild. That's the thing is once I'm winning, and, it makes sense to the body on how to do it. And right now it's confused. One minute it's tight, 1 minute it's loose. That's what should happen. I'm not too sure what's going to happen. Again, I'm not God. But, I hope you all don't get in the middle of my massages ever again. I told you I had a medical reason to have them. And no, I never abused them, although I was abused. If I had got massages, even if I stopped for COVID, if I had got massages all along like I did when I entered Santa Fe, I never, ever, I probably never, ever would have said as much as I said to begin with. I never, ever would have had a problem because my body would have been that much better. But they see that. They watch how you heal, how well you are, and they take you out of those well places. And they say, well, how do they do that? With CIA technology. This is where our government is. This is where the people are. I mean, calling it cancel culture is cute, but it's a certain level of cover-up. To say, hey, no, that's not. You know, Republicans have cancel culture. Don't try to act like a thing. Of course, it's not cancel culture in any of it. It's not suicide. Well, it is a suicide machine, but it's psychological murder. CIA level psychological murder. It's where our nation is today. Now, I told you before that people were going to come out of the woodworks and speak about revolution, right? And want to revolt and shoot each other in the streets. I told you this years ago. There it is. I just posted that one guy here, it's the conservative guy that's going to do it. We know there's liberals out there who are going to do it. They're not really liberals, they're communists. That guy was there, and he's threatening to take to the streets with weapons. Already had people killed. You know, pushing people's buttons is a certain level of crime if you know what you're doing. How you doing? Have a good day. I'm just recording something here. So when you go out there with paint pellets, you start shooting people with paint pellets, that means something. And the response was that a conservative person was killed within, I think, a few days. Now, the majority of these incidents are people that are teeing off. So we have prayerful patriots or something like that. You know, it sounds like they're Christian. Meaning my oatmeal. However, they're out there in the streets. In places that would incite such things. So again, freedom of speech is realized. But there was a time where the church was more in the church with that kind of thing. We're going outside the church and involving yourselves in the lives of others outside of ministry. And condemning somebody's culture and their lifestyle is really not ministry. Come as you are. If they don't change, what are you going to do? I mean, the problem is the church expanded and became so large in requirements and doctrine. I mean, Jesus was pretty simple. Rabbi Jesus had it pretty simplified. And Jesus said, greater work shall you do. So I'm not saying that there isn't greater works within the church. But even in soul winning churches, you usually have a small percentage that are actually the street soul winners that go out there and move that type of operation. So that's who Jesus was. That's who the disciples were. So again, when we say church, people think of other things. Now, there's other gifts and there's other ministries, and that's agreed. But the basic idea is supposed to do a ton of different things. But if you read the Bible, a ton of different things might violate something else. And in fact, the Jewish laws were removed as far as, it's the weirdest part in the world. Being in the marketplace on a Sabbath day or healing on a Sabbath day. You're there for the gospel's sake or for healing purposes. Jesus said that, was it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? But the church has all these laws that it entered into. So again, when a church enters into government, it's a very strange bedfellow. Not to say it can't happen and it can't be successful and that it was never successful. But you have to be careful for the gospel's sake. The church isn't necessarily thinking, will I offend somebody? And I said, in Baptist church, the idea was, fundamental Baptist, well, and not all fundamental Baptists, I'm going to be fair there, but if it offends somebody, then so be it. It brings them closer to God, but the Bible doesn't say that. Paul says, be careful that you would offend somebody. Boy, I love it out here. I just wish I was well. So, I don't know. I don't think I'm all that bound up on the right side, so I still think there might be some sort of injury to the left side. That's what I was going to get looked at today, but just don't think it's going to happen. I tried. That's a problem when they eye me, watch my appointments, and when I purchase, they mentally focus, they curse something, such as a doctor's appointment. I imagine later on today, when I get to my massage therapist, I'll figure out something about that right side. Just feeling that. Now, it's been a crazy few days. I cut myself shaving the same way I cut myself shaving in Oklahoma that one time. Although this stopped bleeding better because I'm in Amarillo, those that cursed me in Oklahoma were also cursing me here to have that same thing happen. So again, God has a way of steering their curses so that I can identify who it is, or at least which moment in time located itself based upon those same people cursing a similar curse. And I've already told you, cut yourself is a suicide curse. If you find yourself cut yourself accidentally, then you have been cursed to suicide. Again, I hope I heal soon, and I really love Amarillo. They psychologically operated me so I wouldn't walk up. I couldn't walk up to police officers and say what I said yesterday. And the doctor yesterday healed me because there's some things going on around me that are different today. Again, healing requires a healing heart, not simple words or maybe a basic idea or even a Hippocratic oath. I'm walking around carrying my cross here. The handle is just a slat from a crate. I have a nice sized crate. It came in handy. I built numerous things from that crate and the slats on it. We're going to buy wood. God says, right over there. Got wood there in that crate. You can still use the crate for what you use it for, which is I put it in my van and I can put it over top of my center console. Certainly it sits perfectly. And I got my CB mount on there and everything. My iPad mount. So I pulled off a few of the side slats because I don't need them. It'll actually make it easier so I can reach into the console and use that also. Direct from it. But I got one of those. So it's about, a foot and some change tall and about 2 inches wide. And I got my phone on landscape across it at the top. And it makes this cross. So again, is it the anti-inflammatory shot that made me better? To a certain degree, but I think I got past that moment in time. And again, it could have just been an increase in allergens. Because even after the shot, I wasn't that released. But this morning I was. But we'll see. I mean, it could still be, active in my body. The nurse did make a mistake. I called in. I said, hey, can I take my Advil tonight or should I take it tomorrow? She goes, you can take Advil tonight, but don't take ibuprofen. I'm like, what? I said, well, Advil is ibuprofen. She said, no, Motrin is ibuprofen. I said, oh. So that was kind of a weird one. I had to correct her on that. Or no, she was thinking of a leave. I guess I could have taken a leave last night, but I didn't take anything. I just let it ride till this morning. So I do need to figure out. So, when I think about it, I do think my right leg was stiffer than my left before this even hit, but not as pronounced as it is. So it's going to take some time, I'm going to have to do some yoga. I'm going to have to do some other things. And hopefully it all heals, and then I can get back to where I was when I was getting all those massages in Santa Fe, or some likeness to that. I knew what I needed to do to keep a disability in check. Whether it's an official disability or not, the government has no right to do what it does to my life. I know it's the government, or they're agents of the government, which means anybody in the public that's moved by the government, whether it be moved with knowledge that the government's moving them or being moved by a psychological manipulation. So again, the government doesn't have to officially tell you to do something for you to be actually moved by the government. One of the problems I'm running into is that while I'm looking online for a place to go that's healthy, they're willing me down. So I never got there before this whole thing erupted the way it did. God can give me all the intuition in the world, but if the government's there willing me down, again, wickedness, spiritual wickedness in high places, then I can't get anywhere. So again, the allergens are real low right now, and everything's releasing. So I mean, maybe yes, maybe no. But all this was unnecessary if the government had let me just have a normal life like everyone else, instead of psychologically operating me day in and day out, as if they're saving the world. That's why the world's in the condition it's in, and it won't change. It's just going to get worse. Something happens to change what's happening to me and the others that they're doing this to, that God protects. That's the key. And they're here right now willing me down and cursing me. And I mean in spirit, but they're listening in with your CIA toolkit, etc. We take it one day at a time, and now we're months past when this started. Now, I've been in something like this before, but not as bad as long. Similar happened in the springtime. It involved my TMJ, but now that I think about it, it probably involved a whole lot of other parts of my body, different neurology and other things that I wasn't seeing, like my back. And it took me a few months to get out of there. And to get out of it. It stopped when I went back to Florida and I got steroid shots in my TMJ. Period. Again, I have had an experience and a history with my life and my body, and why doctors can't listen to me, I have no idea. And of course, some of it is the deep state. I brought that up where they're in the deep state of the mind and the person can't ask the questions and I can't speak the information voluntarily that they really need to make that decision. But then again, could they make that decision with the deep state being there, regardless of what I say or what the evidence is? That's why it's not good to let spies observe everybody in the world and and curse off this one and will that one up and will that one down. That's what's wrong with the world. Period. Again, these foreign spies can't do this to us unless our spies are complicit in that thing, and that thing being the beast. So it's been a crazy weekend. I have some level of stability. But it's more than just that medical thing that was going crazy. Now remember to rate your dog the power. Even if they don't do what you want them to do, if you realize that you're a person that is having issue in your life, you should realize they sometimes can't see past it. And if you continually blame their blindness on them, then they're going to be blinder. But yeah, yesterday, I could tell the difference in my blood pressure from yesterday. Just feeling it, I could guarantee it'd be way down. I was, yesterday. But it could be, again, it's that difference in allergen. Right now, we're way down. We're in the green on allergens. Now, I'm hoping I didn't do any permanent neurological damage to the upper back or middle back, which I don't think I did. Seems to just be centered in the muscles. The muscles got overworked, and they were constricting the nerves themselves. See, I had some stuff in my hand that I thought was just, getting old or whatever. But it turns out, because when my back did release when I got that shot in Tyler, Texas, and had just taken the steroid pack, or just got finished the steroid pack, that I could tell when it cramped up again that's what was my hand. Because when my back cramped up, it was the middle of the night, it started cramping, and then my hand was kind of spasming, and so I'm thinking, okay, that's the only time it happened. My hand is like fine now. And that was the left side. And so I realized that it was all interconnected. And all I had to do was release my back. But I had to convince people to help me do that. Oh, this feels great. I'm going to hate when the heat's back on again here. I'm putting a trailer hitch on my vehicle. I wanted to do that in Tyler, Texas, but they blocked it again. I made a phone call to get the trailer hitch put on, and just never got to it. Could have paid somebody, probably $30 to drive it over and drop it off and then pick it up. Plus whatever their cab fare was, or what, I guess they would have a friend do it. I just couldn't get to it. And then I would have got a trailer instead, and I wouldn't have had to worry. Although, I may have brought my washing machine, and I don't know if I guess I could have put my washer in here, back in this location over here. But I gave it away. Again, they were casting lots for my stuff. I probably couldn't have gotten out of there had I not given it up. But I cut myself shaving on my head, too. This is how weird it is. It's not the average cut yourself shaving. Well, praise God in all that you do. Praise God.